in BGC Philippines. So today we're going to talk a little bit about BGC before we jump into the live Q&A. The title of this video is Expat Life in BGC, and I'm going to give you the reasons why I think expat life, or being an expat, is amazing in BGC. If you can hear me, let me know. I want to make sure I'm broadcasting. Okay, it looks like I am. All right. So we're going to jump right into these. So if you don't know, I've been traveling full-time since 2019. A lot of it, I have lived in a ton of different places throughout the world, in South America, in Europe, in Asia. And I just got to BGC about 3 weeks ago. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's been one of my favorite places I've ever lived, if not the top place I've ever lived. And I don't say that lightly. Like last month I was in Kuala Lumpur. You guys know I was super excited about staying at this place called M-City. And you didn't hear me really talk about it on my YouTube channel at all. And that's because, to be honest with you, it wasn't that great. The livability there wasn't that great. And so I only like to talk about places where I'm like, okay, the livability here is great. I was in Bangkok a few months back, and I lived in a livable community called Wisdom Connect, Wisdom 101. And while that was great, it was kind of small and a little bit isolated. And so it did have a lot of things I look for in an expat place to live, but it came up short a couple things. With all that being said, I'm going to tell you why I think BGC is the perfect expat spot. So number one is the Philippines has a super easy visa. If you haven't seen my Philippine visa video, go watch it and you'll see how truly easy it is. What's great about the visa here is if you're an expat and you don't qualify for any other type of visa, you can stay in the Philippines on a tourist visa for 3 years. You don't have to leave the country for 3 years if you don't want to. You just have to go and get your visa extended. And each time you go, the extension you're able to get is a little longer. Like at first, when you first land here, you get a 30-day visa, and then you can extend it 29 days. And after that, you can extend it 2 to 6 months, depending on the administration you go to. And then after that, you can get 6 months plus, all the way up to that 3-year mark, and then you have to leave if you don't have any other type of visa. But even beyond that tourist visa, which is super easy, there are other visas like the SRRV visa. You have to be 50 to get it, but it's pretty easy to get and pretty affordable. But yeah, so the visa is super easy here. And the reason I put that at the top of the list here, not because it's the number one thing, but because the visas can be a huge pain in the rear end when you're trying to live a global expat life, especially if you're under retirement age. All right, next up, number two, and this is a really important thing to me, it's very safe. There is security everywhere here, security and police force everywhere here. And it's just a super, super, super safe place to live. You can go out at any time at night and you just feel safe no matter where you go. I get up super early in the morning and I go walk 20,000 steps. I walk the perimeter of BGC and I've never once felt apprehensive. Late at night, I've walked around BGC. I've never once felt like it was a risky proposition. And that's not everywhere I've been. So it's very, very safe. The third thing is there's very modern infrastructure here, as you can kind of see behind me. So one of the big knocks on the Philippines oftentimes is that the internet is substandard, but in BGC it's not. In my condo here, I don't even know if they have the top internet, but I get 500 megabytes up and 500 megabytes down. That is extremely fast. That's a half a gig both ways. When I'm in the United States and I have like Comcast internet, I'm lucky to get 100 up and 30 down, or 30 up and 100 down. Lucky to get that. And that's paying like $100 a month. But yeah, it's super, the internet is super fast over here. This area has great urban planning. If you've been watching my Instagram, 30 to Wake Up, you hear me talk about how big the sidewalks here. I mean, they're huge. They're 20 to 30 feet wide on every street and on both sides. So it's just great infrastructure. There's no flooding. There are parks everywhere, and there are bike lanes. So the urban planning here is just amazing. The infrastructure that set up here is great. The fourth thing is there's lots of dining and shopping. Whether you want to do local type of shopping, they have a place called Market here with a bunch of local type of stuff, little vendors. But they also have big malls here. Mall culture still exists in Southeast Asia like it used to in the United States back in the 80s and 90s. There's still a huge mall culture here. So you have a bunch of malls. You have stores that maybe you want as a Western person. There's a Pottery Barn here, which I haven't seen a Pottery Barn in the United States in forever. There's all kinds of Western food. There is a Shake Shack here now. Anything you can think of they have here. In BGC, I've counted 5 or 6 Starbucks, like 2 or 3 Tim Hortons, some Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme on every corner. And then there are mom and pop coffee shops everywhere. There's probably 200 coffee shops here in BGC. From the food perspective, you can get traditional Filipino food. Yesterday I had pancit and lumpia. Actually, it was only like $10, but it was like for a family of 6. Like I'm going to be eating pancit and lumpia for like a week, and it was only like $10. So you can get all the local food you want, but if you want to go to TGI Fridays or Chili's or McDonald's or you name it, you can find it here as well. There's also Mexican places that serve like Tex-Mex. One of my favorite restaurants here is called Feta, which is like a Mediterranean restaurant. They have this amazing like feta salad that I get all the time. There's just so much shopping and dining here that if that's what you like to do, you'll have plenty of it. Number 5, there's a great mix of expats and Filipinos. There's a lot more Filipinos in BGC than expats, contrary to what people say. I would say it's probably 95% Filipino and 5% expat, which is like Chinese, American, Canadian, Australian, and other places, but primarily like Chinese, Canadian, American, and then some Europeans. But you have a mix of that. So you can tap into expat communities if you want, but you also have all the Filipino communities here as well. And Filipinos are very open and friendly. They'll definitely welcome you into their home. Number 6, there's lots of leisure and lifestyle type of stuff. This week on High Street, they had a British celebration where they had a bunch of like vendors selling all things British, selling food that was British, and they had a bunch of like corporations set up, like if you wanted to work for a British corporation. It was just, High Street was just all British stuff this weekend. And there's always that type of stuff going on. It's very family friendly. If you've done any research on BGC, you'll see all kinds of American families moving here with their kids, putting them in the international schools here, and just enjoying like a metropolitan lifestyle. So there's tons of those type of opportunities here. And that's a good segue into, it's great for families. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of international schools. Every morning when I do my walk, I see all the Filipino kids and all the American, British, Chinese kids going to the different international schools over here. It's very family friendly. There's all kinds of museums here. There's like a dinosaur museum. There's all kinds of parks, all kinds of things for families. The next thing is the proximity to the airport and other popular areas here in the Philippines. You've got Makati right next door. You've got Pauig. You can hop on a plane and be to any of the amazing islands here in a half an hour to an hour. You can hop on a ferry if you want, although I've heard you might not want to do that, but I want to try it. I like that kind of stuff. So there's plenty, your proximity to a bunch of really cool things is great. Also, your proximity to go to other places in Asia is great as well. The flights to Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand are pretty cheap here. If you want to fly, if you don't want to fly business class, you can find round trip tickets for $50 to $200. If you want to fly business class, you can find them from $300 to $600. Actually, that's actually pretty expensive. It's less than that because I was looking at a first class ticket, a business class ticket to Hawaii, and it was only $600. So it's probably even cheaper than that. And last is, well, I wouldn't say this is last, but one of the big things for people is affordability. So BGC is probably one of the most expensive areas in the Philippines, not probably, it is one of the most expensive areas in the Philippines and Southeast Asia in general. But what you're getting for the price is pretty amazing. It's like living in a cleaner, safer, more family-friendly, more walkable Manhattan for a fraction of the price, like an eighth of the price. I would say if you're boring like me and you don't go out and party and drink, you could live here as a single person. You could live here for $2,000 a month and have an amazing life, eating out every single meal like I do, and doing, going to movies, doing all the entertainment type of stuff. You could easily do it for that. I've seen a lot of people saying you need $3,000. You could definitely do that. But even me paying $1,400 a month, this month I'm probably only going to spend about $2,500 because food is actually affordable here, even Western food. And so if your only budget is housing and food, even if your housing is a lot like mine, I'm paying Airbnb prices. It would be much cheaper if I signed a lease. But yeah, you could definitely do $2,000 to $3,000 here pretty comfortably. If you lived in like McKinley Hill, just on the outskirts of BGC, you could probably make $1,500 to $2,000 work, depending on your healthcare costs. That would be something you'd have to consider. So it's super affordable compared to for what you get. It's super affordable. So yeah, that's my spiel on why I think BGC is great for expats. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If any of you have ever been to BGC, let me know. A lot of times BGC will be referred to as a bubble, and it's, I don't even know why that term is used, but if it's called a bubble because it's safer than maybe other places in Manila, then yeah, it's a bubble. But I mean, to me, safety doesn't classify a place as a bubble. I'm from St. Louis, which is one of the most dangerous cities in the world, but there are neighborhoods in the city that are really nice. Like, I really like the Central West End, and it's in St. Louis City, but it's a relatively safe place. Not as safe as here, not even close. But it's a relatively safe place. It's a very nice neighborhood. Houses are expensive, condos are expensive. It's where all the many of the major hospitals in the United States are. And nobody refers to it as a bubble. They just say, oh, it's a safe neighborhood in St. Louis. And people like to call this a bubble, I think, because they have a huge security presence here, like a private security force that keeps it really safe and keeps a lot of, keeps the crime away. And so a lot of people like to refer to it as a bubble. But I don't really consider it a bubble personally. I just consider it a safe, nice neighborhood. All right, I'm gonna jump into the Q&A. I'm gonna scroll up, but if for some reason I miss your question, it's not on purpose. I would appreciate it if you put a bunch of question marks before your question, and it'll help me find it better. We got Rich L in the house. What's going on, man? Kevin Hawthorne from Lakeland's in here, going green bomb, doing the moderating, thank you. Someone said Halloween is coming to BGC, Rick Gomez. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what Halloween's like here. Right now, all the Christmas decorations are up. No matter where you go, it's all Christmas music. In the mall right next to me, which is Uptown Mall, it is all Christmas music right now. Any shop you go into, it's Christmas music. There are Christmas trees up everywhere. Christmas is in full force in October here. So, which is great. I like Christmas. I know a lot of people like that just makes them sick, but I actually kind of like it. But it does seem kind of weird walking around in October, everywhere you go, hearing I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, when you know for a fact you ain't getting a white Christmas here. So, High Street usually decorates for Halloween. I could see that. So for those that don't know, I need to do like a big tour of a BGC. So BGC is kind of like this area like this, and then you have this area up here called Uptown BGC, which is where I live. So it's like a big, like, I don't know, like, it's like that, right? Like a big upside down mushroom or something. And down here in this area, right through the center of it, is a thing called High Street. And it's not actually a street, it's like walkable area. And it's like, it's at least a mile long. It's probably longer than a mile. I don't even know what it is. I looked up how big BGC was the other day, and it's 20 hectares or whatever, which is about 2 point something acres. I did the conversion. It's almost 600 acres, the entire BGC. I don't know if that includes Uptown BGC or if that's separate, but where was I going with that? Yeah, you have High Street right down the middle, and they do all kinds of cool things. That's where that British thing I was just telling you about is, and High Street's just really cool. It's just a bunch of shops and restaurants for at least a mile. That's where the dinosaur museum is. If you walk down there any time of day when the sun's out, it's nothing but people out there exercising or with their tiny little dogs. In the mornings, everyone's eating breakfast because there's probably, I don't know, along that thing, there's probably 20 to 30 coffee shops and another 15 to 20 breakfast places. So there's all kinds of people out there drinking their coffee, eating breakfast, reading books. There's a bookstore there. If you don't know, Philippines, everyone speaks English, especially here in Manila. And so the bookstore, all the books are English. Like they have, like the other day they had a Game of Thrones book display. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. And they were selling the Knights of the Seven Kingdoms books because that's a series coming out pretty soon. That's in production right now. And, but there'll be a lot of people around that bookstore. There's a coffee spot there, getting their coffee and reading. So it's kind of cool. It's very much my vibe. Like, I know when I was on cruise ships, I said I didn't like cruise ships that catered to families. And that's true. I don't want to be in a confined space with a bunch of kids. But for my neighborhoods, I actually like the family-oriented neighborhoods. I wouldn't want to live somewhere which is like a red light district or something like that. I know a lot of people, when they talk about Southeast Asia, that's what they're into. They want to, they want to live in Southeast Asia and do the red light district thing. But that's not my thing. I want like walkable, family-friendly, lots of restaurants. I want places that are open early in the morning. I don't want just places that open up at 10 o'clock at night, because I'm usually asleep by then. So I really like, they have that in BGC. They have nightlife and all that kind of stuff. But it's mostly like family-oriented type of stuff. So I actually really like that in my neighborhoods. Rick says after Halloween, they start putting up Christmas lights. There's already Christmas lights and huge Christmas trees up, Rick, everywhere. I walk under this underground tunnel to the mall because my building is like connected to the mall with an underground tunnel, which is great because you can avoid the rain that way. But I usually just take it anyway because it's just convenient, because the underground tunnel comes out right at the supermarket that I go to. And so I never have to leave the air conditioning. And along that like underground walkway, there are stores and everything, but it's completely Christmased out. Like it's all Christmas, Santa Claus, manger scenes, mistletoe, like it's all Christmased out. and they're playing Christmas music. Yeah, solo retirement, Lydia says, I haven't been there, but I saw something on social media where all the Christmas lights are on. Yeah, that's a typical Philippines thing. If you don't know, the Philippines are a very Catholic country. Like I think they have like the highest rate of Catholicism per capita anywhere in the world, actually, even more than like Italy. Maybe not more than the Vatican City, but yeah, they're one of the highest like rates of Catholicism in the world, and they just take Christmas really seriously and celebrate it for 3 to 4 months a year, which I don't mind at all. I like Christmas. Will you take us to the dinosaur museum? Yeah, you know I hate doing like, I'm not a big like vlog out in public type of person, but I will try to do more of that. I'm just trying to decide how to do it. I go on my walks every morning. I do 20,000 steps. I'm like, I should be vlogging, doing some sort of like, you know, I've been doing these live streams, and at the beginning of them, I'll have some kind of informational thing. But these live streams are so long that people don't want to watch them because they, instead of just watching the first 10 minutes, which is the information they're looking for, they'll see how long it is and they'll be like, oh, I'm not watching that. So I need to do these informational things in real YouTube videos that would be better for me YouTube-wise, but I just haven't done it yet. I don't like hauling around the equipment. Like, I want good audio, so I'd have to have a mic hooked up, and I guess I would only need my phone, but yeah. I guess I could hold my phone with my arm, but I hate videos like that, and I don't know if I want to contribute to that. Hey, Nikki Dunn, how are you doing? Joshua says, under construction is a subway station in the Uptown area, around 3 blocks from your Airbnb. I think it will be operational in 2028. We'll connect BGC to the airport, Makati, and key locations. That will be amazing. I know there's a ton of construction around here, but if you've never been here before, they have Grab. If you've been to Asia, you know Grab, and I can take a cab, I can take a Grab, which is their version of Uber. I can take a Grab to the airport from where I'm at right now for under $5. So even, you know, it wouldn't even bother me. It's actually considerably under $5. When I took one from the airport to here, it was like $2. I actually felt bad about it. Like, and the max I could tip was like $2. And I didn't even realize it until I did the conversion. I actually felt bad about it because it took like a half an hour because there was a lot of traffic. Where do you recommend to stay in Singapore? Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, obviously being in like Singapore proper is always good because then you have access to all the restaurants there. The great thing to do in Singapore is go to hawkers. I mean, if you've ever seen Crazy Rich Asians, they have all the hawker stands. Well, actually what you really want to be, what you really want to do is be near a metro station. So they have a train that goes around the entire Singapore. Singapore's not that big. Probably about the size of BGC, maybe a little bigger. But they have a train that just circles around it, and all the stops are pretty interesting. If you watch the Crazy Rich Asians, they're actually in a hawker stand on the other side, like the less populated side of Singapore. So that's a really cool place to go. But there's a ton of hawker. Hawker is like just a food stand, basically. It's usually a food court with a bunch of like individual food stands. It's very popular there. It was like the first place that had Michelin-starred like food stands. They have some amazing cuisine there. Orchard is good. Orchard used to be an infamous place for sailors. Orchard has like a bunch of, Orchard Plaza is like kind of like the red light district, but it's also a normal mall too. But at night, like the different floors, it turns into a red light district. It was actually infamous. I was in the Navy and I went to Singapore a million times. And Orchard Plaza has a nickname in the military. I'm not even going to tell you what it is because this is a family friendly show. But you do have to understand that there is a seedy side to near Orchard Plaza as well. Also, I really like Little India there. I stayed there at a capsule hotel, which I would not recommend. But I really like Little India there. It's great. But it's a little bit hard to get to places from Little India. There are certain parts of Singapore that are walkable, but it's not very walkable. So I would say definitely be by a train station. Just try to get by a train station and then you'll be fine because the train there is amazing. So just no matter where you're at, if you're by a train station within walking distance, you'll be fine. So it's shaped like a boat anchor. That's a good, yeah, kind of shaped like a boat anchor, BGC. When you include uptown, it's like this. Andrea is back from the Ruby Princess, but she got COVID on there. Oh, that sucks. That's one of the risks with cruising, catching something. Monica asked me, where am I? I am in BGC Philippines in Manila. BGC is a neighborhood. KM said, why leery of the ferry? I've heard that the ferries over here can be a little sketchy. So I don't know. I haven't taken them. That's just word of mouth. So there you go. In Central Square on High Street, which is BGC's Times Square, is where the Christmas tree lighting is. Yeah. So there's a place if you've watched my video when it was raining and I was alone in this big square in BGC, with like all these like, I don't know, what do they call them? The billboards that are electronic or whatever. That was the Central Square area of BGC. And the cool thing on the weekend, there's a street that goes there, but on the weekend they close off the street completely. So traffic can't go through there. And so it's just super walkable. It's super walkable anyway, because all of the streets that cut through High Street, they either have a security guard there that like stops traffic when people are there, or they all have these big speed bumps on both sides. So it's easy to walk across them because you can just time it with the speed bumps. And so it's walkable even not on the weekend, but even more walkable on the weekend because they close a lot of the streets off to traffic. So it's great. Andrea said, I went to Hawaii. A number of people got COVID. That sucks. COVID's the worst. Although actually I would say neurovirus is the worst. But COVID sucks too. John said, I was just in Manila. It's a good time. Yeah, Manila's great. I'm loving it. I just had lumpia and pancit yesterday. I mentioned this earlier if you're just joining. There's like a local mom and pop restaurant right near me. And I ordered it off Grab to pick up. And I didn't realize they don't have normal sizes there. I just ordered whatever the smaller one was, thinking it was going to be like for one person. And it was like 10 bucks. And it was for like 6 people. So I have all this pancit and all this lumpia, which I love lumpia. So I could eat lumpia all day. If you don't know, lumpia is like a little round, like it's almost like a Mexican taquito, you know, those things they fry, and it has some kind of meat in it. I don't even know. I think it just varies, but and you dip it in like a sweet and sour type, kind of like Thai sauce. It's so good. And then pancit is like these really thin, I think rice noodles, although they have a thicker noodle version of pancit, but I like the thin version. And you can get it with anything, like you can get it with pork or vegetables, or the Chinese sausage is really popular over here. You can get it a bunch of different ways, but I ordered it and it was so inexpensive. Like 10 bucks might be a lot to somebody when I say pancit and lumpia, but it's for like a family of 6. It's like a lot. Going Green Mom said, Retire and Go is in Singapore at the moment. Yeah, he's a great YouTube channel. He's one of my favorites. Thanks for recommending that. Kevin, great seeing you. You're still living the life. When are you going to settle down? What does settle down mean? I don't know what that means, RCB. And do I know you? You called me Kev, so I'm assuming I know you. but I never know by YouTube channel names. I don't know what you mean by settle down. I've always been nomadic, although I'll be honest with you, I'm here for 4 months, which is a long time for me anywhere, but I could definitely see myself having at least a home base here in BGC. When I first started traveling after I was cruising, when I first started traveling, I said, hey, I'm traveling looking for places that are very livable, that are walkable, very livable, safe, great infrastructure. Like, I've never had a place be so livable as BGC is. I've lived all over the world too. And I've never lived, I mean, it's more livable than Manhattan, and there's no crime and it doesn't smell. Like, I don't know where the trash goes here, but their trash management system is amazing. Like, other cities should like follow whatever blueprint they followed. I never see trash here. And there are so many dogs here. And by dogs, I don't mean stray dogs. I mean people's pet dogs. There's so many dogs here, and I've never once seen poop anywhere. On grass, people are really good at picking it up, and they're just really good at enforcing like proper dog poo management here. So yeah. Have you looked at condo prices? So condo prices here in BGC, Rich, are expensive. I mean, they're like US prices, not US like New York or Washington, DC, but they're like smaller city prices like St. Louis, Louisville, places like that. Like, if I wanted to buy this condo I'm in right now, it'd probably be around $150,000. So it's not, if I wanted to buy a 2-bedroom, it would be in the 2s. A 3-bedroom, it'd be in the 3s. It's not inexpensive to buy here. Now, you could go an older condo building like in Forbestown or McKinley Hill, and you could get a better price, but it's not that much more expensive. And you're not going to get any like floor-to-ceiling windows. You're not going to be in a new modern building. You're going to be in a little bit older building, but you could find that. But if I was going to buy somewhere, I probably wouldn't buy here just because it's so expensive. And it's relatively inexpensive to rent here compared to what it costs to buy a place here. So I probably wouldn't unless I found a great deal. Oh, it's my buddy Reggie. What's going on, Reggie? When I was a very junior sailor in the Navy, Reggie was one of my first LPOs, one of my first bosses, and just a great guy. Like, great mentor, great, just everything. Just a great guy. Super thankful to him, was amazing. And he looks just like Wesley Snipes. John with the $20 super chat. I appreciate it, John. The PI is both the retirement home and the mother-in-law of Navy vets. You can't pick a better place to settle down. Hopefully I can move there in a year, says John. Are you a Navy vet, John? Yeah, I mean, if you don't know, the military had a big presence in the Philippines for a long time. The Air Force and the Navy had a huge presence here. There was Air Force Base and Navy base at Subic Bay. And so huge military presence here. Also, the US government and the Philippine government had some kind of deal where Philippine nationals could join the US military really easily. And a lot of them chose to join the Navy so they could be stationed in the Philippines if they wanted to be. And so when I joined the Navy, about 10% of the Navy was Filipino. And I'm not joking. That's not an exaggeration. Like, anytime you went to a ship, because they were foreign nationals, they couldn't carry a security clearance. So Filipinos had to take jobs like in logistics, or like actually almost all logistics type of jobs, or maybe like as a bosun mate in the deck department they could get. But so there were a ton of, and also in administration too, the administrative rates that didn't require a security clearance, like paying personnel. So they could get a lot, there was a lot of Filipinos in those. And when you went to a ship, almost the entire logistics department was Filipino, like almost the entire logistics department. And so I was exposed to Filipino culture very early in my Navy career. Also, I moved to Hawaii, which is where I was stationed at with Reggie. And I did 2 tours in Hawaii, almost close to 10 years. And so, and there's a huge Filipino culture there. Not only the Navy Filipino culture, because a lot of Filipinos in the Navy, if they couldn't get stationed in the Philippines, wanted to be stationed in Hawaii, because Hawaii is very similar to the Philippines. And there was a ton of Filipinos there. So I was exposed to a lot of Filipino culture and Filipino food, all that kind of stuff. Most of the potlucks that you would do in the Navy in Hawaii were like 99% Filipino food. So, yeah. But yeah, it's a very common place for Navy vets to retire, especially in the past when there was a huge military presence here in the Philippines. There's not so much anymore, so I'm assuming that's going to die down over the years, but yeah. Another YouTube channel, they commented that a Costa cruise, the ship smelled like smoke. They also said MSC was like that too. Have you experienced that on your cruises? I have not, but I could see that on a Costa cruise. It's European, and European people like to smoke. Like a lot of cruise ships that cruise out of the United States, and same with MSC, a lot of cruise lines that primarily cruise out of the United States cater more to a US demographic, and there are less smokers in the US now than there were back in the past. And so there's a lot of just designated smoke areas and a lot of places that you can't smoke. Where on a European ship, maybe there's more smoking, and especially maybe an old European ship might still have that, you know, even though maybe they don't have as much smoking as they used to, because it's old, like there's a lot of smoke. Like when you smoke on a thing like a ship, it just gets built into the walls because it just happens that way. So like on a US Navy ship, when I first joined, you could actually smoke in the berthing on the US ship. Thank God, because I wasn't a smoker, they got rid of that. And then they had like a smoking area. But if you ever went anywhere near the smoking area on a Navy ship, like you could smell it from a mile away. And when they turned off what's called the smoking lamp, like if they were refueling in something, there was no smoking at all allowed. If you went into that smoking area, it just reeked of cigarette smoke, even though nobody was smoking there, because it was just, you know, saturated into the bulkheads, into the walls. So it's probably what's happening on old Costa ships and old MSC ships. Now I was on the MSC Meraviglia, which primarily sails out of the United States, and that was less prevalent on there. I didn't notice it, but a lot of cruise ships you'll get smoking spells, especially if they have big casinos, because most of them allow smoking in the casinos. So, Crazy Rich Asians is a movie. Yeah, it's a movie. Have you been to Quebec in the winter? I'm thinking about doing that this year. I haven't been to Quebec in the winter, but I have been to like Victoria, Vancouver in the winter. I like it. I was in Halifax, but not in the winter. It was still cold, but it wasn't what I would consider winter. So Halifax, I guess, isn't Quebec. It's what, Nova Scotia, but probably similar weather-wise. Central Square is where we do our New Year's countdown. Do you live in BGC, Rick? Yeah, I'll be here for New Year's Eve, and I'll be here for Christmas, so I'll probably go to that Central Square for that. Maybe I'll live stream from the Philippines for New Year's, I don't know. Because it'll be New Year's here before it'll be New Year's in the United States. So maybe I'll live stream that. Do I have an updated vaccine for this year? Yeah, last time I was home, I did my checkup and I got whatever the updated vaccine was. And for those that are gonna like make it political, look, I was in the military for 20 years. I did 6 combat deployments. I've had like 13 anthrax shots. If I can survive anthrax shots, like a COVID shot ain't gonna do crap to me, man. So I'm not like super worried about it. I don't care if you get a vaccination. I am not worried about them. I actually trust modern medicine. Maybe I shouldn't, but let's not get into a political debate about it. That's a personal choice, right? Because BGC is all private property, basically a bubble, so it's easier to control things like trash. That makes sense. I mean, it's not private. Anybody can come into BGC. Like, you can walk in and out of BGC. I've done it. So maybe the buildings and everything here is private, for sure, but it's not like it's restricted. Anybody can come into BGC, but there's a heavy security presence, so they're not going to allow any tomfoolery, if that makes sense. I was looking out my window. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. I'd woken up to watch football, American football, and there were these like probably teenage kids running around, kind of being teenage kids, doing a bunch of jackassery stuff. And it was like 3 something in the morning, and I couldn't hear them because my window, it's really good soundproofing in here, but I opened the window and I could hear them, and they were just being ridiculous. They were being kids, right? Teenagers, and they were roughhousing and all that kind of stuff. And about 2 minutes later, at 3 something in the morning, a security guy came and said, that's it, get the hell out of here, and basically broke it up. So, and that was like 3 teenagers, not doing anything like malicious. They were just being teenagers, like roughhousing and all kinds of stuff, right outside the mall, actually, over here. So if you were to recommend a starter or taster tour of Southeast Asia to test out places for future slow travel, say a 3-month trial run, what would you recommend? Okay, Trace, I would say obviously you want to go to Thailand, and I would hit multiple places in Thailand. Maybe do a month in Bangkok, a month in Chiang Mai, because they're very different. Maybe Hoi Hin, maybe Jomtien. If you want the nightlife, red light district stuff, obviously go to Pattaya. And then go over to Vietnam, try Hanoi. And I've only been to Hanoi, so that's all I can speak to. But I've heard Saigon is way different. Or Ho Chi Minh City is way different. So try those 2. And maybe even, what is it called? Nha Trang, which is a beach town there. Maybe try that one. Then go to Cambodia. Everyone's loving Cambodia now. Go to Malaysia, try Kuala Lumpur, try Penang. Those are very different places. Maybe even try Kota Kinabalu on Borneo. And then obviously I'm over here in the Philippines. Try the Philippines. I don't know how much money you have, but try Singapore. Singapore is a lot more expensive. You're going to be getting Western, like completely Western prices there. But yeah, I would just do all of the major places and see what you like better. I like them all, but as far as livability so far, I really like it here. Some people are not going to like it in BGC because they're going to say it's too metropolitan, it's too much of a bubble, all that stuff. They're going to say that, but I personally like it. And I just speak for myself. That's all I can do. I can't speak for other people. And I've been traveling my whole life. Since I was 18 years old, I joined the US Navy. I took overseas assignments all the time. And if I wasn't on overseas assignments, I was on sea duty, deployable duty, and I was deploying all over the world. Basically, before 9/11, it was basically like living on a cruise ship. After 9/11, it was more like war zone type of stuff. But and then when I got out of the military, I did 4 years of law school and working as a lawyer, but then I started traveling full-time. I've been traveling full-time since 2019, living all over the world, traveling a bunch of different ways. And when I was younger, I really liked like the hostel type experience, the adventure travel, going to like hike K2 and mountains and, bungee jumping in Australia, skydiving. I was a USPA skydiver in Hawaii, certified skydiver. I was really into adventure travel and the backpacker, roughing it stuff. And as I've gotten older, my tastes have changed. Now I want safety. I want I want a safe place to live. I want it to be very walkable where I don't have to have a vehicle at all. And I want there to be tons of nice restaurants and things like that because I eat out almost every meal. So that's, now you know my criteria. And BGC is probably my top place now as far as the stuff that I want in an area. Thanks again for that super chat, John. I appreciate it. I already answered that question. John said he was medically retired. 500 Filipino citizens could be enlisted. Instead of bake sales to raise money, there would be lumpia sales. That's interesting. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, there were tons of Filipinos in the Navy when I was in. Filipino nationals. Now, most of them would get their citizenship, especially after 9/11. After 9/11, if you were a foreign national in the U.S. military, you basically got an express line to become a U.S. citizen. So most of the Filipinos I knew became U.S. citizens because they wanted the protection of being a U.S. citizen. And all the other different nationalities that joined the U.S. military. I mean, we had people from Ghana, a lot of people from Africa would join the U.S. military because it was an easy way for them to get citizenship. A lot of people from Latin countries. So it was an easy way to get citizenship was to join the U.S. military. So there was a lot of, but the most foreign nationals in the Navy at least were Filipino, tons of Filipino. What mode of transportation do I use in the Philippines? So to be honest with you, I live in a walkable neighborhood. I haven't used any transportation. I don't need it. Everything is walkable. If I like, let's say I decided I wanted to go to a nice restaurant, maybe even still in BGC, but let's say I wanted to go over to Makati, I'd probably take a Grab taxi over there. It'd be about $1 or $2 to take a Grab, which is Southeast Asia's version of Uber. It's actually better than Uber, to be honest with you. But yeah, a Grab taxi would probably cost me $2 to go to Makati and go to a nice restaurant. I'd probably take a taxi because I wouldn't want to get all sweaty if it was, or rained on or something like that. It is a tropical climate, so if you don't like tropical climates, if you don't like Florida weather, you wouldn't like it here. It's basically Florida. The Philippines, most of Southeast Asia is basically like living in southern Florida. It's like living in Miami or the Everglades, somewhere like that. Key West. It's a very similar climate to those places. But yeah, mode of transportation, I would just use Grab here in the Philippines. I guess I could get a motorbike like I did in Thailand, but I probably wouldn't. Because Grab is so inexpensive, like I can go almost anywhere in Manila for under $5 on a Grab. Most places way less, half that. So I just use the Grab taxi. I'm sure there's public transportation that's cheaper. I've seen like their version of a bot bus here. They're like these little buses that you can hop on the back of them, just like in Thailand. And I'm sure they're very inexpensive. But because the taxis are so inexpensive here, I just take a taxi. Did you know that 25% of the world's seafarers are Filipino? I could see that. I mean, it's an island nation. I could see that that being the case. Trace is flying to Halifax tomorrow. My kid gets back from his 6-month deployment Tuesday. Can't wait. That's awesome, man. That's awesome, Trace. Halifax is great. I love it there. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite places in the world as well. It's beautiful there. Have you been to South Africa? Yeah, Monica, I lived in Cape Town, South Africa for a month as part of remote year. I've got a bunch of videos about it. It was my last month of remote year. I lived there February of 2020, right before COVID hit. I was in South Africa. Actually, the day I was leaving South Africa, which was like March 1st, I believe, or maybe March 2nd, South Africa had like its first case of COVID. It was right, I mean, like a week later, all the airports were shut down. So I got out of there just in time. But if I would have got stuck in South Africa, I wouldn't have been sad. I love South Africa. I loved Cape Town. Cape Town is not what I would call a safe place though. Like it's a lot of gated communities not bubbles, right? This BGC is not a gated community. It just has a lot of security. Anybody can come here. It's a safe place, but Cape Town is can have its dangers, so you have to be aware of that. Where do I find rentals in BGC? If you're talking about short term, I mean, it's going to be Airbnb, right? But you're going to be paying Airbnb prices. It's expensive. In BGC, probably the cheapest Airbnb you could find is probably $700 a month, maybe, if you're lucky. Outside of BGC, in Makati, you could probably find $500 a month. And in other parts of Manila, you could find $300-400 a month Airbnb. If you're talking about renting a place and you want to rent in BGC, go to Facebook and type like BGC rentals. And you can find, there's Facebook groups. That's what I'm in. There are websites, if you type in like BGC condo for rent, they have them out there, but to be honest with you, they're not that great. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Most of them are outdated, and it's just like a funnel for you to, to get on board with their property agent. So I would if I'm gonna rent a place here, I'm probably gonna rent it off. I'm probably gonna find one on Facebook. There's some great Facebook groups for that. Someone just gave me a super chat, so let me acknowledge that here real quick. Another Navy person, a Navy medical person. I'm trying to figure out what your super chat says here. Doesn't say anything, it's just a super chat. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. The Navy is representing with the super chats here. I appreciate both of you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's awesome. What type of Navy medical are you? Are you a corpsman? Were you a doctor, nurse? What type of Navy medical are you? And do I know you? Maybe I know you. I'm never good at remembering what my friends' YouTube channels are. Let's see. Did you mention Thailand in that list? Yeah, Thailand's definitely in the list. I love Thailand. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, as I've been talking about BGC and how much I love it here, I have a huge Thailand audience, like Thailand expat audience. And man, they're just coming after me. I love Thailand, but I'm just honest about things. And I've never lived in a more livable place than BGC. I love Bangkok. I love living in Bangkok, but I have not found a place in Bangkok as livable as this. Wisdom Connect was really nice. Wisdom 101 was nice, but it was super small. And it was kind of isolated from the rest of Bangkok. Where BGC is like part of Manila. It may be a bubble because it's safe, things like that, and it's a little bit more expensive, but it's still connected to the rest of Manila, where Wisdom is a little bit outside of Bangkok. And but I love Bangkok. I love Jom Tien. I love Chiang Mai. If I don't extend my Airbnb here, I'm probably going to go to Chiang Mai in January. Because a lot of people don't like Chiang Mai in January because that's when the burning season starts the next month. I like it then because there's less tourists there and Airbnbs are way cheaper. So, Rob and Ali are always plugging your channel and have checked out a couple of your lives. Long but surprisingly enjoyable. Yeah, I love Rob and Ali. We met in Thailand. I love their channel. It's one of my go-to channels. Yes, my lives are long. I used to make normal content like Rob and Ali do, but lately I've just been doing a live stream a week, but I probably will get back to making videos. I'll be honest with you, I just didn't have a lot to make videos about, but I'm so passionate about BGC Philippines that I probably will make some more videos about it. I just really like it. Navy Medical says medical care for retired military people with TRICARE Prime. Are you asking me a question about it? So I don't have the TRICARE overseas because I stay in Airbnbs. I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card and it gives me a ton of insurance. So if I ever had anything emergency, I would just use that. Although here in the Philippines, there is a VA medical center here. So I would just go over there. So I don't currently have TRICARE Prime overseas. I just have normal TRICARE Prime. And I have the Humana version because I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. And when you're in St. Louis, you get Humana. And it's okay. But yeah, I don't have the overseas version. If I decided to like buy a place overseas or stay somewhere permanently, I would probably switch to the TRICARE overseas. I'm retired military, I did 20 years. And so I have access to the VA, but I've never used it. I've never signed up for the VA and all that stuff. I need to do that. I think I can do it here actually. I don't think I have to go back to the United States to do it. I need to do that. I need to take advantage of it, especially now that I know I love BGC here in Manila, and there is a VA medical center here, so I could just go there for treatment if I needed something. I should do that. So I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, or if you were telling me you worked for like medical care for retired military with TRICARE Prime. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Navy Medical. And maybe I missed something somewhere. So go ahead and throw it back out there again. I think Monica's question was, what mode of transportation did you use to get to the Philippines? Oh, I flew. I flew here on Malaysia Air actually. I really like Malaysia Air's business class, and it's easy to book in the Chase Sapphire Reserve portal, the Chase travel portal, and I like their business class, so I just booked them. Malaysia Air. Joe the computer guy said I just did 2 videos on Halifax. I'll have to check that out. They didn't pop up in my feed, Joe. I know I'm subscribed to you, but I didn't see them in my feed. But I always watch stuff on Halifax, and I love the hop-on, hop-off bus there. Jen and Tommy said, I started following with your first van life videos. Well, I appreciate that. That was my second form of travel. My first one was remote year. Then I traveled in a van for a year. Then I went over to Thailand and bought a motorbike and traveled all over Thailand with a motorbike. And then I lived on cruise ships for a year. I needed to get back to sea. You know, I'm a sailor at heart. And then now I'm just hopping country to country here in Asia, looking for livable, walkable neighborhoods. And I'm in one of the best ones in the world, BGC in the Philippines. How is medical care for retired military using TRICARE? Okay, so I just go back to the States once a year and do my annual checkup with TRICARE. And then like I had skin cancer on my forehead, so I always go to the dermatologist when I'm home too to get skin cancer screened once a year. But I haven't used it overseas. Like I mentioned, I stay in nothing but Airbnbs or I'm on cruise ships that I book with my Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card, which has a ton of evacuation and medical insurance in it. So that's what I use to cover me. I could switch to TRICARE Prime overseas, but I would only do that if I decided to live somewhere as an expat. Again, like I mentioned here in the Philippines, if you're retired military or a veteran that qualifies, they have a VA medical center here. So it's the only one outside of the United States. So it's actually really convenient and maybe that's why so many veterans move here as well, because they have that convenience. Plus, in the Philippines, when you turn 50, they have this thing called a SRRV retirement visa, but they have a special SRRV for US military members, retired or veterans that qualify for like VA disability or something like that. So they actually have a special visa for us that's really easy and super affordable. So maybe that's probably another reason so many military veterans or retired military people move here. Hello from the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. I love Michigan. My mother used to live in Livonia, if you know where that is. Going Green Mom says you light up talking about BGC. I love it here. I know it's a bubble to some people. This would be hell to some people because it is metropolitan. I mean, it is a metropolitan place. Although I would say the different areas of BGC are very different. The area I'm in called Uptown is more like Manhattan with a lot of skyscrapers, as you can see behind me here. The JP Morgan Chase building is here. And it's more like the financial district or like a combination of the financial district, but also like Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan, but it's skyscrapers. But as soon as you leave Uptown, there are still tall apartment buildings, but there's less skyscrapers. And it reminds you more of like the Upper West Side of Manhattan, if you've ever been there before. It's very neighborhoody. Everyone has their little tiny dogs that they're walking, a lot of parks, a lot of families, a lot of tourists because they like to come here and shop. Like Filipinos come from other places in the Philippines. I mean, this is a huge country population-wise. So other people come to Manila, but they love coming to BGC because it's kind of like their like Rodeo Drive type of place. And yeah, it's just, the reason I light up is because I just really like it. I got another super chat here. I definitely appreciate that. Oh, it's from John again. Thanks, John. Go to Combat Craig's channel. Yeah, I love Combat Craig. I've been neglecting like the VA thing. Like when I retired, I was like running marathons and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't need to go to that VA thing. Someone filled out the VA stuff for me at my transition class. And I lost a bunch of hearing living on aircraft carriers. So I did get rated for that, like 10% or something like that. So I do have a VA rating, but I've never actually used the VA or anything like that. I don't get VA disability because I'm not at the level I need to be at to get that. I just get like 10% of my military retirement tax-free. So it's definitely something I need to look at. I've had like cancer twice, and I'm like, is that connected with like our response to Fukushima? Like, you know, like I don't know. But I should get that checked out. Or burn pit exposure. I did a year in Iraq, living right next to a freaking burn pit. I don't know. I should get all that stuff like documented with the VA. But I've been lazy. Navy Medical is retired Navy. Very cool, very cool. Will you do a pros and cons about expat life in the Philippines? I kind of did it. I did the pros kind of at the beginning of this video. So if you scroll back to the beginning of this video, you'll kind of get some pros. But yeah, I could do that. I haven't found any cons yet, to be honest with you. And my video would more be like the pros and cons of being an expat in BGC, because I don't know about the rest of the Philippines. The Philippines is so diverse. There's a lot of people that live in Dumaguete that love it. There's a lot of people that live in Cebu that love it. There's a lot, there's a lot of people that live in, what is it called? Bohol that love it. You know, there's tons of different places to live in the Philippines. I mean, it's like the United States. It's like saying that the United States is only New York. Like, it's definitely not. It's very diverse. And it's the same thing here. So if I did a video like that, it would be the pros and cons of being an expat in BGC, because it wouldn't apply to a bazillion other places in the Philippines. I need to show my mom and dad. You know, I think this is a great place for an expat to retire, especially if they're on like Social Security or something, because it's super affordable. But there are some really good YouTube channels for families. Like if you watch Mom Duty, or I think ABC, Always Be Changing's got a Philippine channel. They have their own like normal travel channel, but they have a I think it's called Living in the Philippines now is what they call it. They have a good channel. I think like there's a lot of channels for like Southeast Asia that revolve around like more of the nightlife and the red light district, more of like single male life in places, and revolve around dating and stuff like that. And that stuff's great. It's fine. But not enough attention is paid to like just like families or expats or people who don't like nightlife. Like me, I'm not a nightlife person. I'm an early morning person. But there are some channels that like focus on that, and most of them are the ones where they're like moving their kids over here. And Mom Duty and Living in the Philippines, which is Always Be Changing's Philippine channel, they moved over here with their 2 kids. Those are good channels to watch to like see the benefits of moving over here as an expat. Yeah, like when I lived in the Philippines, or when I lived in Thailand too, like my buddy Tom over in Thailand, I don't know if he's on the live chat or not, but like he lives over there with his family, but you don't see a lot of that. A lot of Thailand channels don't focus on that because like that's not what gets views. What gets views is like red light district nightlife stuff. And so that's why like primarily that's what the content is. But it's more, all these places are way more than that. Do I still get my 20,000 steps in? Yeah. If you follow me on Instagram at 30 and a Wake Up, I put a lot more videos on there, or a lot more updates on there, like daily updates. And if you go there right now, it should still be up. You'll see a video of me getting in my steps in this like, so BGC is like this area I told you, right? This like this. Over here is a huge golf course. Along the golf course is a walking path. And that's where that video is from that I put out on Instagram yesterday. And it should still be up. I don't think it's been 24 hours yet since I posted that. John mentioned Combat Craig. Yeah, if you're a veteran and you want to know how to like navigate the VA system, Combat Craig is like the best channel. Like that's a great channel. I watched him a lot a few years ago. I need to do more with that. But how do you get your dose of nature? So go watch that area in nature. The good thing about BGC is they try to do keep a lot of the park type themes. Like when you see me walking on that path next to the golf course, it's all tropical. You can't see the golf course because they have a big bamboo wall up, like to keep the golf balls from coming over there. You can't even see the golf course. But it's very tropical, and they actually just cleaned it up a lot the other day. There's a ton of stray cats there, by the way, but they're very well taken care of. But when you're along that path, you'll see all the people walking their dogs, but it's very tropical. So you can get that type of outdoor type of stuff. Yeah, if that's what you're looking for. But of course, the Philippines is full of like amazing outdoor recreation. Like anytime you see a picture of like crystal clear blue water in like a brochure, it's probably somewhere in the Philippines. The Philippines beaches, they have white sand beaches with this crystal clear water that looks like bath water. Most of the time when you see a brochure for, maybe it's for other places, it's actually a picture of the Philippines. Just like when people used to, like a lot of the advertisement for Bali wasn't actually pictures of Bali, it was like pictures of Lombok, which is the island next to Bali. Like all the big waterfalls were usually not on Bali, they were on Lombok. It's the same thing, a lot of brochures that show you this crystal clear blue water with these amazing white beaches are actually just footage they bought of the Philippines, even if it's not even in the Philippines that they're advertising, because there is beautiful beaches here. So you can get a lot of outdoor experience here too. Furian says, I'm from the Philippines, but living in Queens, New York. My mother currently is serving in the US Air Force and she is retiring soon. I told her to check out BGC Cebu Ilocos, I don't know how you say that, because I know they have huge expat communities. Yeah, they do. I mean, if you want a lot of Western culture and the uniqueness of the Philippines, I haven't lived anywhere else in the Philippines, so I can't speak to that. But BGC is like, to me, the best of both worlds. Anytime I want to tap into Western culture, it is here. Like, it's amazing. But I also have plenty of Philippine culture because 95% of the people that live here are working class professionals that live here, mostly white collar type of workers. So. Navy Medical said basal cell skin cancer. Yeah, I always say my skin cancer is definitely from the Navy, from being on flight decks of aircraft carriers and standing watch on Navy ships, and like being out in the blistering ass sun in the middle of the Persian Gulf or Arabian Gulf without proper sunscreen because we ran out on the ship. I actually did an 11-month deployment. At the time was one of the longest deployments since World War II. I know they've done a lot of long ones now. And it was on a frigate. And for 6 months, we didn't hit a port. Like, imagine being on a ship, a small ship that only holds 200 people for 6 months without hitting a port. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. What T-Mobile plan do you have, and do you have the $50 per month international pass? So, Ronan, I have so a normal plan with T-Mobile is going to be $50. But you can do if you're a veteran, actually it's $50. I think it's $60 if you're not. But you can do a $20 add-on. Well, actually, let me go back to the $50 or $60 a month plan. That will get you 2G in almost every country in the world. So your T-Mobile phone is going to work no matter where you go. When you land anywhere, it's going to say, welcome to the Philippines. You have service here. And that'll just be with your regular plan. You don't have to do any upgrades. And at a minimum, you will be able to do Google Maps. You'll get your text messages. You'll get phone calls. I can't remember how much a minute it is with phone calls, but if you need to call, you can. You're not stranded. And then if you have an Airbnb or your house has Wi-Fi, you're going to be on Wi-Fi 95% of the time anyway. And if you're in any coffee shop here, you can be on Wi-Fi. Whenever I'm in the mall, I'm on the mall's Wi-Fi. So you have that, no worries. For $20 extra a month, you can upgrade to that basic plan, the Plus plan, and it'll give you 5 gigabytes a month of high-speed data in all the countries around the world that they give you access. It's like 100-something countries. It's a ton of countries. Everywhere I've been, I've had access. So you'll get 5G of high-speed data. And for me, that's been enough. As long as you're not like watching YouTube videos while you're transiting somewhere, then you're not going to use that data. Because most of the time you're going to be on your Wi-Fi. So for $70 a month, if you're a veteran, $80 a month if you're not, you can have high-speed data in any country you're at. If you want to pay $50 a month, you'll get 15 gigabytes of data, which will be plenty. But you have that option where you can upgrade. This month, I didn't realize it, but when I was on my 20,000 steps, I hadn't downloaded some of the podcasts I was listening to, and then I was posting videos on Instagram instead of waiting until I got home to do it. And so I used all my 5G up. And so I went like 7 days without that, and it was fine. I could have paid for a pass for a week. So with the passes, you can pay for like a day, a week. I think it's a day, 3 days, a week, or a month. And so you can actually pay for less if you want. So that's been fine for me. Could I ditch T-Mobile and be cheaper and just getting like a SIM card here? Yes. But I like the convenience of not having to do anything. No matter where I go, my phone works. I don't have to worry about getting a SIM card or doing whatever I need to do with an app to get a SIM card. I don't have to worry about it. I like the convenience of it. I'm okay paying $70 a month to have high-speed data anywhere in the world. I'm fine with that. So that's what I do. But yeah, I think T-Mobile is great. It's been amazing so far. Are those trees or bamboo? Well, I think, what is bamboo? Like a grass? Some of them are trees, some of them are bamboo. There's a lot of bamboo here, there's a lot of trees here. But it's very tropical. Also a good thing that most Filipinos speak English, so a regular American can survive easily. Yeah, I mean, in the Philippines, everyone speaks English, like especially in Manila. it's like a second language here. A lot of them will speak better English than you. Like if you're from like the Midwest or something where sometimes we speak crappy English, a lot of them will speak better English than you do. But yeah, English is not a problem in the Philippines. Everyone speaks English here. Do I wear sunscreen on my walks? I wear sunscreen all the time. I've had skin cancer, so I always wear sunscreen. Hey, Kevin from Naples. Hey, Emily, what's going on? Did you say you lived in Gaeta? I saw it on a train, thought of you. Yeah, I lived, for those who don't know, in the military. I was stationed in Italy, a little small town called Gaeta, Italy, which is in between Rome and Naples on the Serape coast, if you've ever heard of that before. And that was back in the late 90s. And it was a NATO base, and there was actually a US Navy ship home ported there. But there wasn't a huge American presence, so it was just an amazing place to live. It was awesome. It was an amazing place to live. Hey, JJ the Lonely Bull in Asia is on here. Try talking to a taxi driver in Manila. Hardly any of them speak English. There you go. JJ will give you another opinion on that. But here in BGC, I found that everyone speaks English well. I can't speak for the entire Philippine country though. But yeah, JJ in the Philippines actually lives here at BGC, and I think I've seen videos where you've lived here on $1,500 a month. So if you want, is that correct, JJ? I believe it is. So if you want to see like living in BGC on a budget, I mean, obviously I'm in an Airbnb, you're going to pay more for an Airbnb. This Airbnb cost me $1,400 a month to live in. If I rented this Airbnb out, my Airbnb host said he'd rent it to me for $1,200 a month. That's all utilities included. I wouldn't have to pay anything separately. But I've seen in this building that I could get $700 or $800 a month for a studio like this one is, not as well decorated and not with a view. A lot of these studios face another like part of the building. So if I wanted a view, it'd probably be closer to $800 or $900 a month, not including utilities. And so, you're going to spend, in this building, you're probably going to spend $1,000 a month at a minimum. But I think JJ, correct me if I'm wrong, you either live in Forbestown or McKinley Hill. I can't remember, but I think it's Forbestown. I think you're near the golf course, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's got a great channel if you want to see like living on a budget here. But like I mentioned, even with how much I'm paying for this place, because I'm boring, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do nightlife, I do eat out every single meal, it's still gonna be $2,000 to $2,500 for the month for me here. So it's not as expensive as people think. Someone asked me, did I retire? If so, what grade? I'm a retired E9, I was a command master chief, a master chief in the Navy. Very lucky to get to that rank. I had a lot of good people that worked for me that made me look better than I was, and I was able to make E9 relatively quickly. I was also single the whole time and always took overseas assignments and like got loaned out to the Army, went to Iraq. And so it was easy for me to rise up the ranks because I was single. It's much harder for like someone that's married or something like that. I thought I saw JH in here. Is that Jeanette? Is that my buddy Jeanette? Jeanette also was a Master Chief in the Navy, but she's in the Navy. If she's in here, I believe that was her. And she just came off a big, long deployment. I want to say it was 9 or 10 months, which is a really long time to be on deployment. Although I did an 11-month one on a small ship. She was on an aircraft carrier, so like I remember I was in an aircraft battle group, an aircraft carrier battle group is what we called them back then. I don't know what they call them now, but I was in the Abraham Lincoln battle group actually. If you remember in 2001, 2002, when George Bush landed on the Abraham Lincoln, I was in that battle group. But I was on a frigate, and I remember like watching the carrier would have like Jessica Simpson came on there, and they had like picnics, and They had a big ship store that always got deliveries. I was on a little small ship, and we didn't pull into a port for 6 months straight, and we never got any of that. It was awful. It was awful. Matt's in Cebu. How do you like Cebu, man? A lot of my friends that retired from the Navy live in Cebu. Kevin, did you ever go to Brazil? I have not been to Brazil yet. I've been to a lot of places in South America. Like if you've been watching my channel before, you know I lived in Colombia, Medellin. I lived in, is Colombia part of South America or is it considered part of Central America? I'm pretty sure it's South America. It's right on the edge. I lived in Peru. I lived in Mexico City, Mexico, and I lived in Santiago, Chile. But I never made it over to Brazil. I did have a cruise scheduled for there, but it got canceled. So, but I definitely want to go to Brazil. I did live in Portugal, which is another, Portuguese-speaking country, but never in Brazil. Do you have to switch to Wi-Fi manually? No, just if you, I don't know about Android phones, but on an iPhone, if I'm connected to Wi-Fi in my house, it automatically switches me to my Wi-Fi when I walk in the door. I'll automatically be on Wi-Fi on my phone. That's how I'm filming this right now. I'm using my phone and it's on Wi-Fi. If I go into like a Starbucks or something, then you have to like manually switch it over to Wi-Fi, which is super simple on a smartphone nowadays. You just have to remember to do it. Vegas Gary says, great to see you again. I just tuned in, so I don't know if it's been asked, but do you prefer the Philippines over Thailand? So I wouldn't say I prefer one over the other. I love both of them. I paid $30,000 for a 20-year Thailand visa. Obviously, I love Thailand. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And I'm just getting to know the Philippines. I'm very familiar with Filipino culture, but I haven't spent a lot of time here. Where was I going with that? But I love BGC. It's probably moved to my top of the list of most livable, walkable neighborhoods I've ever been in my life, which is important to me. Safety and walkability is what I love. So. But I don't prefer one over the other. I would say I love them both equally so far, but I really love this neighborhood of BGC. Like it's the most livable place I've ever been in my life, and I've lived all over the world in the military and then traveling full time since 2019. It's just so livable. It's gonna get bumpy. I like that name. Said, what a surprise to find you live. I want to thank you for your help finding walkable community. Nothing else to add tonight other than to say thank you. Well, no problem. That's what I'm into now. Some people aren't into that. They want like nightlife, red light districts, or they want, like roughing it out back, or they want the cheapest area, or they want like the cruise life or the van life. Right now, I'm really looking for like just a nice, comfortable, safe, walkable area with hundreds and hundreds of restaurants. And that's what I have found in BGC. If you ever had a serious medical issue, Naval Hospital Okinawa is close to flying versus going to CONUS. Yeah, definitely. The good thing is here in the Philippines, there is a VA medical center. I also live in BGC, which has St. Luke's here, and I'm sure I could claim anything I got done at St. Luke's with TRICARE. I've never claimed anything with TRICARE because overseas medical care is so cheap. Like I got in a motorcycle wreck in Thailand. I had to have x-rays. I had to have a bunch of things checked out. And my bill was $20. And that included the medicine they gave me. They gave me like, medicine for infection and like for pain. And the whole bill, including the x-rays, all the doctors that had to look at me, all the time I spent there, the ambulance ride, it was $20. So like, am I gonna claim that? No. So. JJ said it's closer to $1,800 a month on average now with inflation. My 50 square meter condo corner unit overlooking the golf course is $600 a month. Man, you have to tell me what building that's in, man. Send me a message. Tell me what building that is. JJ, if you're on Instagram, send me a message, by the way, anyway, because I want to like hang out with you. I want to take you out for coffee or something. But yeah, you have to tell me what building that is, because I would love to have something overlooking the golf course. I love that. I love that little walking path by the golf course. So JJ is saying that his corner unit is $600 a month, and his utilities are 4,500 pesos, which is under $100 a month. So $700 for the place he lives, and then he's spending $1,800 a month. So he's spending $1,100 on food and entertainment, which is a lot here. A lot of people will say BGC is expensive, but it isn't expensive if you come from the United States. Like if I go to KFC, I get a chicken sandwich, order of fries and a Coke, it's like $2.75. If I do the exact same thing in the United States, it's $8. Same thing with McDonald's. Yesterday I mentioned I got pancit and lumpia. It was $10 from a like nice Filipino restaurant, and here in BGC. And that sounds like a lot, but it was for a family of 6. I did not realize that when I ordered it on Grab. I went and picked it up, and I was like, oh my God, this is huge. And they were like, yeah, it's for a family of 6. And so I'm going to be eating pancit and lumpia for the next 3 or 4 days probably. So Ben said, I just completed 7.5 years and decided not to re-enlist. Now a contractor doing the same thing as before. Yeah, I mean, that's a personal decision for everybody, man. I get it. I will say one thing that when I was at my 7-year mark, I almost actually got out. The only reason I stayed in the Navy past my first enlistment, I was actually going to get out and go to University of Hawaii with all my buddies. The only reason I stayed in was because my detailer called me and said, what do I have to do to keep you in? This was during Bill Clinton era, and they were having a lot of recruiting problems because it was also during the .com era, and it was really easy to get a high-paying job, and the military was having trouble recruiting people. And I remember my recruiter called me and said, not my recruiter, my detailer called me and said, what do I have to do to keep you in? And I said, if you send me to Italy, I'll stay in the Navy. And he said, oh, I can't transfer you from Hawaii to Italy. It costs too much. And I said, okay, well then I'm going to get out and I'm going to go to University of Hawaii, but thank you. And about a week later, he called me back and said, hey, we can send you to Italy. Hop on a plane in 2 weeks. And that's what I did. So, and then, yeah, that's what I did. And then I was in Italy and I was like, what am I going to do? So I was like, well, I'll just get stationed back in Hawaii and then I'll get out and go. But then I'm 86 and, like you make a rank and then you're like, oh, should I stay in? Should I get out? And, by that time I had 10 years in and I was like, I'm going to stick it out for the retirement. And to be honest with you, when you're in, you don't realize how great military retirement is until you get out. But it's amazing that I got out of the military and the next day I got 50% of my pay for the rest of my life. Like I was 30, I just turned 39, and because I did a little bit over 20 years. And you get your retirement right away. You don't have to wait till you're 65. You get it right away. And it just gave me so much flexibility in how I live my life. And if you've been following my channel a while, you know I'm also an investor. I've been investing my whole life. Dividend stocks. I have a rental property, a fully paid off house that I rent out. So I have all different kinds of income streams. But getting that income, continuing to get half my military pay, like it's such an underrated thing that you get from the military. And I know they've changed the retirement system now. It's a little bit different. But yeah, But I get, like at the 7.5 year mark, Ben, I get it. I get why you got out. Palm Beach is looking similar, mixed to Southeast Asia. Always hoping our paths cross. Yeah, I mean, Southeast Asia is a lot like Southern Florida for sure, especially weather-wise. John says, I was on CBN 72 for her first 2 cruises. That's amazing. For those who don't know, that's the USS Abraham Lincoln. I was stationed on the Abraham Lincoln a lot, John, actually. So I did a deployment with Abraham Lincoln, but I was on the frigate that accompanied her. And that was back in 2002, 2001, 2002, right after 9/11. And then where was I going with that? Shoot, where was I going with that? Wait, hold on, let me think about it. Oh, and then I got stationed on her again later in life when I was a senior chief. I was stationed on her for 2 years. Then I went to Iraq for a year. And then I got sent back to her on the staff. I was on the strike group staff, so the admiral staff on the Lincoln. And then I became a command master chief and I went to an aircraft squadron, BFA 34, and guess what? We got deployed on the Abraham Lincoln. So I spent a ton of time on the Abraham Lincoln. I did back-to-back deployments. I did 3 deployments in a row actually 4 deployments in a row because of the way I transferred and because I was single and I didn't mind doing back-to-back sea duty. I did 4 deployments in a row, counting my tour in Iraq. 3 of those deployments out of the 4 were on Abraham Lincoln. So it was crazy. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on Abraham Lincoln. I know that ship like the back of my hand. And I did it all kinds of ways. I was ship's company, then I was on the staff, and then I was on a squadron deployed on the Abraham Lincoln. So I did it 3 types of ways as well. And I was in the battle group that protected the Abraham Lincoln. I was on a frigate. So yeah. Do a lot of people ride those shared bikes? Yeah, I see a lot of people riding the shared bikes. I don't personally. I just like to walk. I like to get my steps in. But I see a lot of people riding them. I need to download whatever app it is so I can I should just do that. Instead of taking a motorbike or a taxi cab, like if I want to go to a restaurant at night or something, which I normally don't do, but if I wanted to do that, like go down to Forbestown and go to like Dr. Wine or something, I should just take one of those because it would be quick and I wouldn't be all sweaty when I got there. If I walk, I will be sweaty because it's a little bit of a trek. But yeah. Caroline says you can claim international with your Prime, just saving the bills. Yeah, I need to do that if I ever, but I've never had anything that was super expensive, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think my TRICARE Prime covers dental. I used to have the dental, but I got rid of it because I thought it was a waste of money. Because I did like $17,000 worth of dental work. I wish I could claim that. Diamond D says you're an hour in. Yeah, I'm an hour and a half in now. Kevin, did I ask for TRICARE Prime and savings your bills up to 6 months, I believe? That's good to know. I mean, I should try to claim stuff on TRICARE Prime. JJ Bull says my condo is on 5th Avenue on the south end of BGC. Okay. I'm on 9th Avenue, so I know where that's at actually. I actually just moved out yesterday. Oh, where are you going, man? Where'd you move to? You should have told me. I probably would have took over your condo. Well, I don't know if I want to sign a long-term lease though. Even though these Airbnbs are expensive, I love having the flexibility of just doing what I want. And I don't ever have to like get a utility bill because that's all included. I don't have to worry about that stuff. I mean, I pay a premium for that convenience, but I kind of like it. Batten down the hatches. There's a typhoon, category 1, east of the Philippines, headed your way. I need to pay attention to that stuff because, yeah, I definitely should know that. You can get your military pay per month and Social Security. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a great benefit. I'm like super thankful to have it. You eat at KFC's and McDonald's. Man, I'm an American, man. Every now and again, I like to have a Big Mac. I like KFC original recipe. Like, I know some people don't like it. I like it, man. I grew up in the Midwest, man, and I'm not going to apologize for it. But I will say, I actually don't go to McDonald's here in the Philippines because in the mall, if you go to Uptown Mall, at the top floor where the food court is, they have a place called Burger Beast, which is a Filipino burger joint, like some chef made it. They have an unami burger, and it is phenomenal. It is such a good burger. And so I get cravings for hamburgers. I'm American, I'm a Midwest boy. We eat our hamburgers, man. So, but it is a phenomenal burger. And they have a bunch of other kinds that I haven't tried because the unami burger is so freaking good that, I just go there. So I haven't eaten at McDonald's here, although I love a Big Mac. Like, I love Big Macs. I'm not gonna apologize for it. Have I want the Jollibee? I want the Jollibee in other places, not in the Philippines, but I haven't been to a Philippine Jollibee yet. There's one real close to me, and there's another one on my walk. Every morning I walk by it, it's always packed. For those that don't know, Jollibee for me is famous because they have spaghetti with hot dogs in it. If you don't know, in the Philippines, one of the famous things they like to eat here, for whatever reason, is spaghetti with hot dogs cut up in it. They just love that. I know it sounds strange, it sounds weird. It is what it is, But yeah. Do you drink the tap water? I have not drank the tap water. That's another thing that's really inexpensive here is bottled water. So right now it's like 56 to 57 pesos to the dollar right now. So $1 is like 56, 57 pesos. You can get a bottle of water this size for 10 to 18 pesos, right? So it's pretty inexpensive here. You can get the big 7 to 8 liter jugs for like 80 pesos, so $1. That's mostly what I get. I just refill these little ones with that. And so bottled water here is actually super cheap. And if you don't know, it's funny because it's like this almost anywhere. But this bottled water company, Wilkins, is owned by Coca-Cola. So do they have blood donation places there? I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. It's probably something I should look into. Jollibee has really good fried chicken. I need to try it. Like, I haven't done any Jollibee yet. I need to do Jollibee. In Hawaii, the Jollibee has like a Spam sandwich. And that's what I always used to get because I love Spam. Again, I'm from the Midwest. Don't beat me up over it, but I just loved it. Just missed questions from John Smith and Jenny and Tommy. If I missed your question, please ask it again. And is that the John Smith from my, Jen and Tommy said, what you did, when you did remote year, did you plan 1 month at a time or the whole year? So I did remote year for a year, and it comes with an itinerary. So we did 4 months in Central and South America, 4 months in Asia, 3 months in Europe, and then the last stop was Cape Town, South Africa. But that was like they have 1 year plans. I think they have a 6 month plan, and then I think they have a 1 month plan. But yeah, I did that. Back when I did it, they only had 1 year plans. So I did the 1 year plan. John Smith said, good afternoon from Melbourne, Australia. So that's definitely not the John Smith I was stationed with in the Navy. How many steps do you walk per day, and would you rather be skinny with a six-pack or have a belly and killer biceps? I have skinny arms, but I have pretty good biceps. I don't know if you can see that. I actually have pretty good biceps for some reason, just naturally. So I like to eat whatever I want, and that's why I work out. I used to be a marathon runner, but I have like an exploded bursa sac in my leg, and so in my knee. So after I run for a little bit, it's just excruciating pain. And so I don't run as much as I want to. Like, I don't run that much at all anymore. It doesn't bother me when I walk. It doesn't matter how much I walk. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I try to get 10 to 20,000 steps a day. I'm usually closer to 20,000 than 10,000. Like right now, my average weekly is around 18,000. Sometimes I try to do at least one walk a week that is 30,000 or more. And so, yeah, that's what I do. And my knee never hurts walking, but if I run after about a mile and a half, it starts to hurt, and then it just gets really, really painful. I wish I could still run because it's one of my favorite things to do. It's like my thinking time. Like, I never think better than I do when I run. When I run, I mentioned on here that I do a lot of investing, and I love like when I'm running, I get my best investment ideas. And so I just love running, but I can't really do it that much anymore. Caribbean is hurricane, and yeah, in Asia it's typhoon, and in like other places in the world it's hurricane. Same thing, like it's tsunami here, you know. So it's just different words meaning the same thing. Ronan said it's not that different than spaghetti and meatballs. That is true, although usually meatballs are made with beef, where most hot dogs, especially in the Philippines, are made with pork. So it's basically pork in there. So, which is fine, like, but it seems odd to an American, right? Hot dog. Although Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, that's what he loved. Spaghetti with little hot dogs. Again, if I missed your question, throw it out there. Daryl K says, get the gravy with the Jollibee chicken. I will. I need to do that because I need to get out of my KFC comfort zone. KFC is one of my comfort zones they have a Popeyes here, by the way. I posted that on my Instagram. If you don't follow my Instagram, you get a lot more like daily updates, but they have a Popeyes here at BGC, which is awesome. I love Popeyes chicken. But let's see. JJ the Lonely Bull says typhoons don't really impact a BGC. Power lines are all underground, so no power outages. And BGC is one of the few places in the Philippines that never floods. Yeah, they have great infrastructure here. The other day, I was walking and I saw like this section of the concrete walkway they had opened up, and I saw the underground tunnels, and I mean, they're huge. Like, they're not little, they're like if I was standing in it with my hand up, I'm almost 6 foot tall, with my arm up, I wouldn't be able to touch the top of the tunnel. They are huge sewer tunnels. So they have really good infrastructure here. And yeah, it's not like Thailand with power lines everywhere. They're all underground. Daryl says, when I was in Manila, I walked everywhere 13 miles one day. Makati, Intramuros, Chinatown Mall of Asia. Yeah, I mean, I walk everywhere in Asia, like even when I'm in Bangkok, which the sidewalks aren't that great in Bangkok, and the ones that are great are filled with street vendors, which is one of the charms of Bangkok, but I still walk everywhere when I'm in Bangkok. One of the reasons I love Jam Tien is because they have the sidewalk along the beach, but that sidewalk along the beach in Jam Tien, that big giant sidewalk? In BGC, on both sides of the street in BGC, every street, the sidewalk looks like that. It's a 20 to 30 foot wide sidewalk. And in some places it's covered. It's a covered sidewalk. So it's great. All right, I'm all caught up. If I missed your question, throw your question back out there. I apologize for missing it. Again, for those who threw a super chat out there, it's always appreciated. Thank you very much for doing that. But you don't have to do that to ask a question. Just ask it. Kevin, do I play golf? Because you're near one. I need to get back into it. So when I lived in Hawaii, I played golf all the time. I used to love golf when I was younger. In the military, the courses are super inexpensive, and so I just play all the time. I lived right next to a par 3 military golf course, and I play that par 3 all the time. So yeah, I love golf, but I haven't played in forever. I would need to get back into it. What's your daily routine? How do you spend your time? So I talk to this about people all the time. I'm pretty boring relative to other people. People think I have this amazing life because I travel so much, but outside of the travel, my day-to-day is pretty boring. I get up really early in the morning. During the week, I usually try to get up at 3 a.m. so I can catch the last hour of the US stock market. My favorite hobby in the world is investing in companies that are listed on the US stock exchange. That's one of my favorite hobbies in the world. I'm lucky that one of the things I love doing also helps me have this lifestyle I live. I'm very fortunate that my hobby, that one of the things I love to do affords me this lifestyle. So I get up for that. I'll usually do a bunch of investment research in the morning. I'll answer all my YouTube questions that I got the previous night. And then at around 5 to 6 in the morning, I'll leave on a 3-hour walk, which will usually give me about 10 miles and about 18,000 steps. I'll usually stop by the grocery store on my way home and grab some water if I need to replenish my water. I don't usually eat breakfast, I drink coffee. So I'll drink some coffee and then do some more investment research, maybe watch some Netflix or some YouTube. Like I'll watch JJ the Lonely Bull's YouTube channel if he put out a video the night before, or Retire and Go, I'll watch his channel, or all the other YouTube channels that you guys know I love on here. And then I'll usually go find some lunch somewhere. I'll eat lunch. I'll do probably a little bit more walking, but more AC walking. So I'll walk around the mall or some shopping center or something like that where I don't get all sweaty again. And then I'll come back and watch some Netflix. If I have some friends that want to meet up, maybe I'll meet up with them. I don't drink anymore, so I don't stay out for nightlife. If I go and drink with them, I'll usually just have a Red Bull and with soda water. So I fit in, like it doesn't look like I'm like anti-drinking or anything like that. But and then I'll have dinner, and then I usually wait for the stock market to open, which over here it's not till 9:30 at night. But I'll watch CNBC because I'm really into financial porn. So I'll watch Squawk Box. If you're familiar with CNBC, I'll watch Squawk Box in the morning, and then Opening Bell. And I'll usually catch the first half an hour of the stock market being open, see where the trading's going to be, and if maybe I don't do a lot of stock trading, but I do option trading. I do some covered calls, out of the money covered calls, real easy stuff. And so I'm pretty boring. Like I've talked about this on this channel a lot. I'm very much an introvert. Being alone doesn't bother me. So if I'm alone a lot of my life, it does not bother me at all. I always tell people, if you want to get, if you are an introvert like me, or you want to know more about people like me, go watch the YouTube video called Happier Alone. It's a claymation. It explains kind of how we are. I'm not antisocial. I like going out and hanging out with people, but being alone doesn't bother me at all. I'm very much an introvert that is happy in my own company. I read a lot too. I didn't mention that I read a lot. I've been doing a lot of reading. I do most of my reading on my Kindle app on my iPad, which is right here, but it's got my YouTube going on right now. But there is a bookstore in BGC, so I might buy some hard copy books and then just donate them to a library after I get done reading them, because I do like having normal books. I like reading that way, and I can take them to the pool and not worry about them getting wet. But when you're a full-time traveler, you don't want to haul a bunch of books around. So that's why I read mostly off my iPad. So yeah, I'm pretty boring. My daily life is pretty boring. You know, I'm not a nightlife guy anymore. I mentioned this a million times. I was in the Navy for 20 years. All I did was party in ports for half my life. And I've I scratched that itch, and I just don't, like, nightlife's not my thing. I don't drink anymore at all, so nightlife is just not my thing. Thanks for posting that Happier Alone video. But it's a great video it's what I forward to people when they go, are you ever going to settle down and get married? All that stuff that people do. All right. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. How is the market this morning? So the market isn't open today because it's still Sunday for you guys. It'll open tonight for me at 21:30, at 9:30 p.m. It'll open up, Monday market will open up. So, and I don't do on the days I do these live streams, which for me is Monday morning, I get up at 3 a.m. to watch the Rams game, which usually comes on at 4 p.m. in the United States. So I get up around 3, catch the tail end of football for the day because I'm a huge fantasy football nerd too. I have a bunch of fantasy football leagues. Sometimes I have to get up at 1 in the morning to watch my team, which is the Rams, if you didn't know. I'm from St. Louis. I just stayed with the LA Rams when they moved because I have too much emotionally invested in them. I wasn't going to switch teams. But on Mondays, I get up and watch football. And then after the Rams game is over, which is usually around 7:30, then I jump on this live stream. So I usually do a walk after this live stream. So Monday mornings, I usually do less walking. I do about 10,000 steps. It's kind of my day off from walking, but I still get 10,000 steps in. But yeah, so the market isn't open yet. Carolina says, I play golf. I love golf. I just haven't been anywhere long enough to play anymore. KFC fried chicken and macaroni salad. I love it. Somehow KFC chicken in the Philippines just tastes better. Yeah, it's a little bit different. The KFC chicken is different everywhere, actually. KFC is everywhere in Asia, if you didn't know. I would say there's more KFCs than any other restaurant. The only other American chain that is more here is 7-Eleven, although I think 7-Eleven's owned by a Japanese company now. But it's an originally an American chain. There's probably more 7-Elevens than KFCs, but KFC is a close number 2. And then maybe McDonald's, and then probably Starbucks. Vegas Gary says, I was in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia earlier this year. I miss it so much. You never meet nicer people. Yeah, I love Asia. I mean, I love it because it's affordable. For the most part, it's safe almost anywhere you go. And the people in almost any of the countries that you go over here are phenomenal. Brian says the golf course adjacent to BGC is super exclusive and membership is about 1 million. Is that $1 million or 1 million peso? It's a huge difference in that. Although 1 million pesos would probably be a lot. Well, I don't know what that would be. I'm not good at converting the math really quick. There's one past McKinley Hill that's open to the public. Okay, good to know. Solo retirement with Lydia is going to bed. Good night, Lydia. Check out Lydia's channel, by the way. Kevin, ever look into the resident visa? Yeah, I'm definitely going to do the resident visa here because I get a military retirement. They actually have a special SRRV visa for me, but I have to be 50 to get it, and I'm not 50 yet. I turn 50 in September, and that's when I'm going to do it. So I'm definitely going to do it so I have the visa here. Why not? It's super inexpensive for me, so I'm definitely going to do it, Daryl. JJ says, when are you coming back to Thailand? I'll be in Thailand through mid-December. So I'm here in BGC, JJ, until at least January, the end of January. That's how long I have my Airbnb for. So yeah, definitely here till January. I didn't realize you left. Actually, you know what? I did see that you were in Thailand, but I thought maybe you just went there on vacation or something. I didn't realize you left for there, JJ. That's good to hear. What part of Thailand are you in right now, JJ? And then Da Nang, Vietnam is going to be amazing. I haven't been to Da Nang, but I've been to Hanoi. I lived in Hanoi for a month and I loved it. I love Hanoi. And I heard Da Nang is actually better. So, John trades commodity futures, just started to get get good. Just before you started the live, I made my session goal of 6 ticks in copper futures. Very cool. I don't know anything about the futures market. I do have a Robinhood account, and they just introduced futures. I'm not sure if they have commodity futures though, but yeah, I do. I've been buying stocks since 1994, and I have not sold very many of them. So I've like just time and market, I've done really well. I've been very fortunate. And I used to focus on nothing but dividend stocks. Now my dividend portfolio is great. It basically is enough money to fund my lifestyle, even without my military retirement or my YouTube income or my rental property income. And so now I focus on swinging for the fences stocks. Like I'm really into Rocket Lab now. I don't give stock recommendations. Like you could lose all your money in Rocket Lab. Like you could definitely go to zero. But all those who like heard me like a few months ago and bought it, it's up like 120% since then. So I'm actually doing really well in Rocket Lab, but I'm not happy about it because I wanted to buy a lot more shares. I have about $35,000 in Rocket Lab right now, but I wanted to get up to 100,000, but it ran up too much already. So so now I'm just kind of sitting on what I have. But yeah, now I'm like swinging for the fences. Like my goal now is to like, I want to test my like, I like buying companies that I love. So one of my best investments I've ever made, two of my best investments I've ever made are Amazon and Tesla. And I bought them because they were doing things that and Apple as well. They were doing things that I wanted. Like I bought Apple when they first came out with the iPhone. I was like, actually not the iPhone, the iPad. I bought them. I was like, dude, this iPad is amazing. Like I love the iPad. Like I don't even have a personal desktop anymore. I just have the iPad with the M2. They actually have a better version of it now, but it's portable. This one is the version where I can put a SIM card in it. So most countries you can get an unlimited SIM card for $10. So if I went somewhere without internet, I would just put a digital SIM on this thing and it would be like $10 a month for unlimited. That's where I watch most of my shows. I do everything on that iPad. It's amazing. But yeah, I bought Apple because I got the first iPad. I waited in line for it. And I was like, this thing is going to be a game changer. And it was really the iPhone that was the game changer. But I got lucky with that. And the other thing I bought that I did really well in was Tesla. I bought Tesla at the IPO. I've been a Tesla investor for a long time. Even though Musk is a little kooky, sometimes I really believe in him. And he has another company called SpaceX, which you can't really invest in other than through proxies like you can through Google, a little bit through Tesla, and maybe BlackRock. But you can't own SpaceX. So I found this company called Rocket Lab, which is basically a SpaceX competitor, and I just love them. I love their CEO. But yeah, I'm investing in companies where I'm swinging to the fences, but they could go to zero. And if you've been following for a while, I have a bunch of Bitcoin too. I've been buying Bitcoin for a while. And if you own Bitcoin right now, you're doing really well. Last year, or 2 years ago, not so well. So again, don't follow my financial advice. But now I'm basically swinging for the fences with investments because I'm trying to get into that like upper echelon of like net worth where I can like take care of my family for the rest of their life. That's my goal now, is to build up. And I might not be able to do it. I might do terrible. But my goal, I'm taken care of for the rest of my life. I want to like take care of my family members, but don't tell them that because I don't want them to expect anything. Like I don't have any kids or anything like that. So, when I die, like all my money is going to go to my nieces and nephews, but I don't want to tell them because I'm afraid like one of them is going to be cuckoo and like push me off a bridge or something. I know that's very dark and everything, but yeah, but that's what I'm doing. I love investing. So it's something a lot fun for me. Can you imagine how many shares you could buy with that? Could make a whole other paycheck with that. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Unless you're talking about the golf course membership. Would I spend $17,000 on a golf course membership? Probably not. Did you know Elon Musk has a brother that is a chef? I did not know that. When are you making the investing channel? I used to have one called Dividend Nomad, but A lot of my dividend stocks I've owned for decades, like Johnson and Johnson and stuff. And I would talk about that stuff, and then people would make investment decisions based off what I was talking about, and I just didn't like that, even though I told them not to. And I didn't like people's financial future being based on my recommendations. So yeah, like when I talk about stocks now, I just talk about the risky stuff so people know that, like, if you buy Rocket Lab, it could go to zero. Like, that company could go out of business. They're burning cash like crazy trying to design a new rocket right now called Neutron. So they could go to zero, but. Joe says I wouldn't spend $17 on a golf membership. I'd spend $17 on a golf membership, but I wouldn't spend $1,700. I moved to a large cash and bond position, very wary of the future. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I made that mistake in 2008. I learned my lesson. I am terrible at guessing that stuff. A lot of my friends last year moved out of the market, and they're regretting it because it's been one of the greatest bull runs in the history. I put money in the market every month as well. I add new money. Anything I have left over, I'm still like very thrifty, and even though I stay in like a $1,400 a month Airbnb, I still don't spend that much money on other stuff. And I still have a lot of disposable income at the end of the month that I pump into the market. And for me, it's time in market always beats market timing. I'm no good at it, and most people aren't. That's why I don't even try to do it. I thought last year I should get more cash. Luckily, I didn't, because it would have been a terrible mistake, because the stock market is up whatever percent. I mean, I have positions that are up 200%. If I had liquidated those, it would have been ridiculously stupid. So I don't even like selling stuff anymore. I don't sell anything. I used to own, one of my first stocks I ever bought in the mid 90s was Amazon. I did a calculation one day. I thought I was brilliant. I made like $10,000 on Amazon stock back then. I thought I was brilliant because I made $10,000. If I owned that Amazon, that lot of Amazon that I had back then, it would be worth $21 million today. Like, I basically made a $21 million mistake trying to time the market. I should have just held my Amazon stock that I bought back then. I thought I was brilliant, and like that I could time the market, and that trading is the way you make money. But for me, the way you make money is just buying a stock and never selling it, like the Warren Buffett way. Buying it, I mean, he does sell some stuff, but buying it and never selling it. So that's what I do. I rarely sell anything I own unless there's like a major issue. Like one of the stocks I recently sold, and this is not investment advice, about a year ago was Walgreens. And it ended up being smart now that I look at it, because their business model was flawed, and a lot of the things they were doing was flawed. So, but yeah, normally I don't sell stocks. Sorry, we've gotten into the stock market thing. You're not thrifty. You did remote year, bought a camper van, cruised a year. Daryl, I made money off my camper van. I sold my camper van for more than I paid for it. I cruised for a year last year. My average month of cruising was around $1,500 a month, all in. So that was super thrifty. Remote year was $2,000 a month for everything but my food. So I was living in a different country every month, and all I had to do was pay for food for $2,000 a month. When I lived in New York, my little crappy apartment in Manhattan was like almost $4,000 a month. So I would say I did van life, I did cruising for a year, on what most people would consider a budget. So. But yeah, and I sold my camper van for more than I paid for it. So I basically did van life for a year. I made money doing van life. It's also when my YouTube channel exploded. That was when my YouTube channel was making like $10,000 a month. And so not only did van life make me a ton of money from YouTube, but I also sold my camper van for more than I paid for it, because that was when the camper van market was nuts. And I had one of the most desirable camper vans. I had the National Park Edition Winnebago Travado, and they only made it for 1 year, and so people wanted that one because it had a ton of battery life with it. So people wanted that one, but yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if you've already seen it, but Tesla is opening a showroom in BGC. That's good to know. That's good to know. I never want to own a car again in my life. I hate the administrative responsibilities of owning a car, especially in the state I live in Missouri. I hate all the sunken cost in it. I hate the depreciation. But if I was to buy another car, I would buy a Tesla. I would buy a used Tesla so I got some of the depreciation with full self-driving. That's what I would do. And I would buy a Model Y so I could use it as a camper van or a camper car, I guess it would be. So that would be the only exception to my rule of I never want to own another car. I would buy a Tesla. Because I'm such a huge Tesla fanboy, I know I would love it. You had great timing with the van purchase. It was lucky timing. If you remember, so I did remote year for a year. My remote year ended March 1st of 2020. So I mean, all week before COVID took off. And I came back to the United States to visit my mother. I had been a travel vlogger for a year. I had like, I can't remember how many subscribers, but maybe 10,000. And I was just starting to make some money doing the travel vlogger thing. It wasn't much money, a couple $100 a month, but it was finally, I was making some money. And I was stuck in the United States. I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? And at the time, all of those camper van companies thought nobody was gonna spend any money. So they were giving them away. And so I bought a Winnebago Travado National Park Edition. And I think I got it for, I think it was like $90,000 or something like that. And my channel took off because van life all of a sudden, number one, everyone was at home watching YouTube. And number two, van life took off because people realized they weren't going to be able to travel any other way. And so my van life channel took off. So I was making a ton more money doing YouTube. And the price of vans were going through the roof. And so I sold my van in like 2021 for like, I think I paid $130,000. So after taxes and everything, I ended up making like 20 something thousand off my van, selling my van. It was nuts. It was crazy. And I had driven around in that van all year. Now I am meticulously clean. I also put a lift on my van, so everyone wanted my van because it was lifted. And I'm meticulously clean. So the van basically looked like a new van. Like if you ever watch Johnny's Journey do the tour of my van, she was like, it looks like nobody's ever lived in here. And that was like, I lived in that van like a year. So it was in perfect condition, and it had, I think it had like 12,000 miles on it or something like that. So it was basically a new van. So get a composting toilet, although buckets are pretty safe. Hard to leak. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. I'm assuming you're having a talk with somebody else about van life. All right, I'm all caught up on questions. If you have any, I know we still got 112 people in here. If you don't mind smashing that thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. We got 78 thumbs up. So yeah, throw your question out there. Did I miss a super chat? Oh, John did another super chat. Any plans on checking out Cebu? Sorry about that, John. Any plans on checking out Cebu? Yeah, I definitely want to do some travel here in the Philippines. I have some friends coming over here that are from the Philippines. They're U.S. citizens now, but that I was friends with in the Navy. And I think I'm going to travel with them to different places. So they can basically show me that. I mean, maybe if I started dating over here and I got a girlfriend or something, maybe I would go see some of the Philippines with her. But like for that kind of travel, I want to do it with other people. It's just more fun that way when you're doing short-term travel. So. JJ says it's 500,000 pesos entry fee and 500,000 pesos for golf rights, plus 12,000 pesos monthly dues for that golf course. I would never do that. I don't like golf that much. I love golf, but I'm not going to pay that much money to go to a golf course. No way. You missed swear words asking if you walk on treadmill in bad weather. So I'll be honest with you, even though it's rainy season, in the mornings, it doesn't usually rain here. And every now and again, there'll be a little drizzle, but I just walk in the drizzle because it actually feels pretty good in a tropical climate. And to be honest with you, it's not that hot in the morning here. When I go for my walk, it's usually Fahrenheit. It's like 74, 75 degrees when I leave. By the time I get back, it is in the 80s and I'm sweating and stuff, but it's not too bad. Do I walk on a treadmill? I hate treadmill walking. I hate it. So no, I don't. If it was like torrential downpour out there, I have an underground pathway to the mall. I would just go to the mall and walk all the levels of the mall up and down to get my steps in. That's what I did in Malaysia mostly, because it wasn't very walkable where I was. I would just go to the mall and get my steps in at the mall because it's air conditioned, so that's kind of nice. And yeah, so I wouldn't go do a treadmill, I would go to the mall. You have a faulty point to your only vehicle being a Tesla. You want Johnny to build out a Honda Element. Yeah, that's true. It'd probably be, actually, I would buy a Honda Element. I'd buy a Honda Element as long as I could get one of the all-wheel drive ones, or a Tesla. If I got a Tesla, I wouldn't have Johnny build it out because it's just not big enough to build into a small camper. But the Honda Element, I definitely would have her do that. How did you get your steps in during van life? It was actually pretty easy during van life. If you followed my YouTube channel back then, you know I did hiking all the time. When I was in Colorado, which is where I spent a lot of my time, I would go hike the 10,000 foot, all the 10,000 foot peaks there, and that would get me way over 20,000 steps. That was exhausting, but I did it all the time. Electric bikes are cool. To get to know a city, I did in Washington, D.C., going, yeah, electric bikes are great. If I ever live in a United States city again, I'll actually buy my own electric bike, like one of the cooler ones that the tubes are the battery that look like normal bikes. I would probably buy one of those instead of a car. Would living or sleeping in a Model Y be doable? Yeah, Model Y, yes. Even Model 3, some people do it, but Model Ys are actually pretty big. There are YouTube channels that completely revolve around camping in a Model Y. It's actually a great camping vehicle because it has, you know, there's no carbon monoxide with an electric vehicle, and because it's battery, as long as you have a full battery, you can turn on the climate system at night. They actually have a camping version, a camping mode in the Model Y, and it'll stay temperature controlled in your Tesla overnight, and it doesn't use that much of the battery overnight. It only uses like 20% of the battery, so it's actually really good. Do I miss cruising? Yeah, I miss cruising all the time. I'll probably fly back to the United States in February, see my mom, and I might go cruising again after that. I've been kind of plotting out an itinerary. I haven't pulled the trigger on it, but I'll definitely cruise again for a big period of time. I love it. I'll do van life. I'll do all the things I've done. It's just like there's so many things I want to do, and you can only do one thing at a time. So. What do I think of Forex trading? I have never done foreign exchange trading. I've never done it before. So I don't have any comments on it because I've never done it. I don't have any experience with it. Have I played Minecraft? I've never played Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft. I know a lot of people are into it. I play a lot of Sid Meier's Civilization. I don't think that's anything like Minecraft though. So, Daryl just finished a Mediterranean cruise. It was a 5-pounder. Well, good for you, man. That's awesome. It sounds like you enjoyed it. All right, I think I'm going to call this a live stream. We've been going for almost 2 hours now, and I don't want people on the replay to freak out too much. So I appreciate y'all stopping by. And if you have any video ideas, throw them down in the comments below. And if not, I'll see you next week on the live. And check me out on Instagram. I post stuff all the time on there. Take care.